Tropical storm Ophelia bringing wind and rain to many across the East Coast. Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Chris Justus. I'm tracking that, plus the likelihood of another named system and a major cool down heading toward the East Coast where it's going to feel a little bit more like November this upcoming week. If you're new to this channel, please consider go ahead and subscribe. I provide early warnings of severe weather, a reliable forecast you can count on, and a direct approach you won't find anywhere else. Let's get right to the data right now because there's a lot going on with Ophelia, as it is a dangerous storm. We've got a lot of rain heading to many places that just don't want to see any more rain. It's been a wet couple of days here for the Northeast, and that's going to continue as this system continues to move toward the north. It quickly went from nothing to something. I mean, this thing tightened up very quickly, and it's close to hurricane strength this evening. Now, deeper out into the Atlantic, we are watching for more activity that's trying to spin up. I'll have a full update on that. But look at this mess moving into parts of the Carolinas as we've gone throughout the day today. It's just been very, very wet and windy, especially for the Outer Banks as we're watching that. The rain wrapping in around here. And again, there's some dry air that's trying to infiltrate this dry, cool air that we've had in the Northeast and parts of the Carolinas, Georgia. That's funneling on down into Florida, where it feels fantastic after such a muggy week in Orlando, Central Florida, Tampa. I mean, it's certainly feeling a lot better out with those breezes coming around this, wrapping in some drier, cooler air in from the Northeast. But this thing's tightening up off the coast, and that dry air is trying to infiltrate it, which is why it has that pretty gnarly looking core right there. It's a stout system. I mean, it's definitely got some power with it as it's moving on through. So real-time guidance, we're able to look at this activity as it's rolling on through and kind of see where it's heading and what it's doing. The latest SHIPS model is a great way to forecast. I mean, it's got it really honed in on, but notice how everything kind of crashes down. So this system is going to be on its way down in the coming days, and we've got great ensemble guidance here with a tight cluster here into the Cape Hatteras area. So a lot of wind, a lot of rain in these areas, and we have high confidence in the models. This is a great forecast product provided by Tomer Berg. It's just really, really visual here to say, okay, there's not a lot of spread in the model guidance, and then there's moderate confidence as it moves into the Northeast, but even then it's beginning to weaken and kind of fizzle out. A great visual too. This plots all of the different models, not just the European, not just the American GFS, but provides all of them mixed in together. So a fantastic look here to see that there's a certain area that's going to get it. That helps us forecast and helps us provide a clear picture of what's going to happen. And for you folks in the Outer Banks tonight, it's going to be rough. I mean, we're talking about some wind, some rain. Yeah, look, I get it. You're used to this type weather. This is something that you normally get. Tropical storms are a normal phenomenon. It's not out of the ordinary to get a couple of tropical storms to move toward areas like this. It's just the flooding is so dangerous. And if it's a typical trouble spot, I would urge you, stay tuned, stay aware of your surroundings. And if you're in a troublesome spot, you want to get out. This is really going to be packing the most punch over the next 24 hours as far as wind speeds are concerned. But really, it's probably going to keep that tropical storm force 25, 30, 40 mile per hour winds as we go throughout the next 24 hours. Then it begins to die down. Let's look at this hour by hour as we map out the brand new computer model that just came in. It's going to be windy. It's going to be rainy here from Cape Hatteras to Wilmington to North Myrtle Beach. I can't rule out a few showers tomorrow as far west as Charlotte, Columbia. I know the big Carolina game going on, so we're watching it. But I think for the most part, things are looking really good for Columbia and Charlotte. It's going to be a nice weekend, but there could be some showers mid-morning through the first part of the day that may get very close to game time in Columbia, but we'll watch it. Things look to be mainly heading up toward Raleigh, Durham at that point. And look at that big swath of rain for the Northeast. I mean, from New York City to Jersey to Baltimore to D.C. I mean, we're talking some heavy rainfall here with that outer swath right there as it's moving on through. Basically, this core is feeding a ton of moisture up here toward the north, where it's going to be really, really wet. This will be Saturday midday. As we go into Saturday evening, it's unraveling and quickly being absorbed into some drier air here. Meanwhile, back toward the west, a severe weather outbreak's underway on Saturday for areas like Nebraska, into parts of Iowa, Arkansas, Oklahoma, even as far south as Texas, and then you go up toward parts of Illinois could see some severe weather out of this as we go into Saturday night. So that's a different story over there, but this wet weather here across the east is packing a punch, and it continues to be a very wet day up toward the northeast and could impact some football on Sunday. I mean, this is going to be a long weekend of wind and rain. How about the wind speeds? Top wind speeds get close to 70 miles per hour here across Cape Hatteras. This is why this thing is close to hurricane status. If you might remember a couple of days ago, I was telling you, I think the cap on this system is close to a Cat 1, and it looks to be challenging that for me. It's going to be right there at a Cat 1. But that's kind of what I saw as being the top potential, and it looks like it's going to get very close to that. Here we are, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts from Jersey to D.C. As far south as Raleigh could get wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So this is going to pack a punch as it rolls on through, and rainfall totals are going to be quite hefty in some of these areas as well. I mean, we're talking from Wilmington to Cape Hatteras, 4 to 5 inches of rain. Then you go up here toward Norfolk, Virginia, up through the I-95 corridor. We're talking about 4 inches of rain. While that's, a lot of rain, it's all coming down in a short period of time. So that could certainly lead to some flooding in some areas. So we'll need to watch that closely. Folks, not the only system we're watching, and thankfully the models have come around compared to where they were about 24 hours ago, because I was very concerned about what I was seeing for Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Caribbean Islands, Windward, Leeward Islands, St. Martin in particular, one of my favorite places in this world. Thankfully, the steering currents are shaping up that it looks like this thing's going to find an opening in the ridge of high pressure here, that it's going to be able to take its way away from the Caribbean Islands. Notice how it gets very close. This is the GFS, the European, the UK, and the Canadian models all plotted on one. Just a powerful tool. Notice how the spread is quite high. There are some of these Western models here that want to paint the Caribbean Islands are not quite out of the woods yet, but the consensus or the majority of them are far to the north and east. So it's far more likely to get this to move this way. Okay, you've got the deterministic GFS, the deterministic Euro, and the deterministic UK all out here as well. So for the most part, this looks to stay away from the Caribbean Islands. We're going to be cautiously optimistic. Here's another way of looking at it, the density. You can see a great number of those, and it looks like it's going to stay clear of the United States as well. Does look like it's going to be a monster, which is why I think we really got to watch this one for you folks in the Caribbean Islands. But right now, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, all, sky's the limit with this system. It's working over some very warm waters. And spaghetti models, these are the tropical models here. Want to keep it away from the Caribbean Islands as well. But again, cautiously optimistic is the word. Here's a great way to see it as well. The darker, deeper colors here indicate model consensus. And there's a great number of those models that really agree this starts to curve right in here and goes up that way. There are some, let's see, 10, 20% that would keep it toward the Caribbean Islands. So not out of the woods yet, but again, cautiously optimistic would be the terminology that I would use tonight as we're watching this. Not the only thing we're watching. In fact, a rare treat for many in the Carolinas and Georgia, Atlanta to Charlotte to Greenville. It's going to feel like fall this week, especially by the time we get to Tuesday, Wednesday. The old Carolina wedge, when you get these northeasterly winds setting up, banking up against the Appalachian Mountains, that leads to drizzle, which you see here, leads to cloud cover, leads to a breezy northeast cool wind. What does that look like temperature-wise? Well, it's going to feel fantastic from Florida to the Carolinas to Georgia. This weekend's going to be quite toasty in the afternoons. We're talking 75 to 80 degrees, maybe even a little bit greater than that on Sunday. Could be 82, 83 in parts of the upstate. And then you get into Monday's time frame. Check this out. Monday, we're talking highs near 80 degrees. But here we are Tuesday when that wedge starts to set up across the Appalachian Mountains. See that cooler air spilling down? Look at Wednesday's highs. We're talking 81 in Atlanta, but 71 in Greenville and 73 in Charlotte. There are going to be many here that are taking advantage of that cool wedge of air banking up against the Appalachian Mountains, while a lot of the western areas are really baking here. 91 over toward Birmingham, 90s back through Louisiana and Alabama, Mississippi, while the Thursday high temperatures are even cooler, 75, 74 in Charlotte, 67 in Asheville, overnight lows in the 40s and 50s. So this pattern could very well hold on into most of next week to where it could feel quite fantastic throughout much of the week. So that's what I got for you right now, folks. Please, if you will, let me know where you're watching from right now. I'll go back in the comment section, be able to analyze where you're watching from, and that really helps me out in forecasting, especially these videos that have high impact like you folks on the East Coast right now. I will continue to watch Ophelia for you as we're watching that strong system move up the Northeast coast. So, folks, if you're new to this channel, please consider go ahead and subscribing. I provide early warnings of severe weather, a reliable forecast you can count on, and a direct approach you won't find anywhere else. Get some sleep, guys. It's going to be a big weekend for us weather-wise, and I'll keep you posted around the clock.